Welcome back, everybody. Hello, I'm your host, Darlene Holly, and you are watching the Attract and Stand Out Brand Building Virtual Summit. This year's summit is all about building a profitable personal brand and business that allows you to authentically show up and connect with your audience. I am so excited to be featuring so many amazing businesswomen and sharing their powerful stories with you as part of the summit. Today, I'm interviewing one of my great friends, Suzy Cater. She is a conversion copywriter and messaging strategist who helps women entrepreneurs use the power of words to change lives and charge more for their work. When she's not crafting showstopper copy, you can find her chasing after her baby daughter, visiting family in the UK, or binge watching the Great British Bake Off episodes. Please help me welcome Suzy. Hi, how are you?
Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you back for the second time for our second annual summit. So thank you so much for being back. I know last year you shared so much wisdom for helping all of us online entrepreneurs for how to write amazing copy. And today I know we're going to talk about how to write words that make people buy, which is like next level. Like it's not about just writing amazing copy, right? It's actually converting those people that are watching and listening to us and actually turning them into paying clients so we can grow our businesses and have, thriving lives. So tell us a little bit about who you are, Suzy.
Yeah, so I work with creative women entrepreneurs, service providers, course creators, coaches and consultants to basically work on their messaging strategy so they're showing up as their most authentic, powerful selves with their words and articulating what's amazing about them in ways that feel really true to who they are. And the magic ticket, get people to buy what they're creating. Because that's why at the end of the day, we do what we do, right? Like we want to change the world and make a positive difference, but we also need to make money. So I help people come up with the words and the language that enable them to do that.
Yes, and it's so needed because otherwise we just have a hobby, right? If we're just working this business and we're doing it for free, then it's just a hobby, which is fun and it's nice, but most of us are trying to make a big impact. And if we're able to produce an income for our families, we're able to give back in such a bigger way. So I'm excited to be talking about this today. So tell us a little bit about how you started your business. What was it that made you become a conversion copywriter?
Well, it kind of was tied to what you were just saying about the importance of family and various things. So my business actually got off the ground. It was kind of as the result of a bit of a crisis on my end, the health crisis. I used to work as a professor at NYU and I got a PhD there in French literature, which is a ton of fun. And I got to work with a lot of amazing women authors and authors of color to help them get their voices out there and highlight the impact they were creating with their words. But there came a point where I was just horrendously burnt out. And even more than that, it wasn't just the burnout. I was having a crisis of confidence in my own voice and my contributions to the academy. And it didn't look that way because on the surface, I was doing really, really well. I was winning teaching awards. I was winning awards for my research articles. My PhD dissertation defense went really, really well. But academia they call academics critics, and they call them that for a reason because the way that you contribute is kind of by criticizing and building on other people's contributions, and it all sort of spiraled into a place where I was not happy with where I was, and I was really experiencing a lot of doubt about my own voice. And perhaps some of you can identify this. It was at the point where, I'd write an email or I'd send off an article and I would feel like physically quite sick with nerves about how other people were going to respond to it. And yeah, so I decided that I didn't want to live that way anymore, and I was working really hard too, and I knew that at some point I wanted to have a career that gave me more freedom. My family from the UK, but I live in the US, and my husband is American. I wanted to be able to travel, to go and see them, and I wanted to have a baby fairly soon, and I wanted to be able to spend time with the baby too. So I decided to create a career for myself where I could do those things. And I didn't know exactly what that would look like, but I kind of just left academia, started looking around, and fell into copywriting because of my writing background. And initially I worked for ed tech companies in Silicon Valley that did like big online education platforms because of my background in education. Then I moved into restaurant franchising copywriting, so a lot of big restaurant brands. And then I started getting contacted by women coaches and creative women business owners, and I just fell in love with doing that. And I ended up signing up to do B School, which is how you and I connected. And by signing up to do B School by Marie Forleo, I realized that I was not alone in having felt this doubt and sense of anxiety around my own words and my own voice and the message I was putting out there. That so many women entrepreneurs were feeling that way. And I noticed there seemed to be a difference. There was a bit of a difference in the way that male entrepreneurs were marketing and talking about what they did and selling, and the way that women were doing it. And there was so much more hesitancy in the women's side, and it was holding women back. It was holding them back from articulating what was fantastic about what they did. They were too hesitant to share what was amazing about their story. They had a lot of doubt about opening up and sharing their story, and they were second guessing all the words that they put on their websites, in their email sequences, in the marketing that they did around their course, and it was really holding back their businesses. And I realized that, I'd been there, and I'd worked myself out of it by moving into a different kind of writing. And I did a lot of training in conversion copywriting too. So I was at the point where that wasn't holding me back anymore, but I saw so many other women being held back by that doubt in their own voice, that feeling of, oh my God, I feel sick about what I just said. And I wanted to help them change that. And that is how I moved into conversion copywriting and messaging strategy.
That's amazing. I'm curious, because I think we hear a lot, we need to write great copy, right? As we're growing, especially online businesses, a lot of people read our words before they hear us speak or actually have conversations with us. What would you say is the big difference between having good copy and then having amazing conversion copywriting? What's the big difference can you break that down for us if I can get my sentence out?
Yeah. Well, I would say that a lot of it is tied to some of it is tied to techniques, right? But you can get very, very far with certain key factors, and I'm just going to outline some of them. Okay, so what a lot of people do is they focus on pain points and benefits, and what I see most business owners do a lot of the time is they talk about pain points that their reader might be experiencing, and that's often because their reader is an earlier version of themselves. They're coaching or teaching something that they themselves have struggled with, and they remember the pain very powerfully, and they are still able to write about that pain very well. So pain points generally nobody needs much help with. A few people do. If you do need help with pain points, if people read your copy and they're like, I don't really get what the problem is, then my advice to you is be specific. Think about how this problem is manifesting itself in your audience's day-to-day life. How is it making them feel when they wake up in the morning? How is it playing out across their day and what their day looks like? How is it making them feel and impacting on whatever they do in the evenings? All those kinds of things. Get really specific, get really concrete, write it out, somewhere that's not your website. Get everything out, get all your ideas out, and then go and pick the best bits out, okay? And that's another thing. Don't put everything on your website right away. The first draft is not usually your final, is never your final draft. I'm just gonna say it's never your final draft. But generally, pain points people have got. Where the issue happens is talking about the positive transformation that you can create for people. And so that comes out in several different ways. So one, what does that positive transformation look like? And that's not just in terms of, you'll have great copy for your website. I could say that. That's not really what people want. What they want is they want good copy, so more people will buy from them, so their businesses will succeed, so they can go and have an easier, more enjoyable life doing work that they really love and getting paid really well for it, because people read the copy on their website and they think, yes, that's me. Yes, I want that. Take my money. And they get on the sales call and they're already like 80% sold. So it's not just, have nice copy. What's the bigger picture? So make sure you're always thinking about the big picture benefits. Again, talk about it in a very concrete way. But one way of thinking about it is you want, say, good copy or nice branding or a cool logo, so that what does your audience ultimately want? What's that deeper benefit that they're craving? So that's one thing. Two, you need to show you can provide that thing for them, not anybody else, like you. Why would they want to work with you? And that's so important, because there's a million copywriters out there. There's a million branding specialists. There's a million graphic designers. Whatever you do, other people are doing it too. So why would they work with you? And that's where a number of different things come in. You want to show your personality in your copy. That generally means like writing the way you would talk, coming across as your most confident, vibrant self. Like, you definitely want to be who you are, but be the best version of yourself. Try to, not the most polished, not the most scripted, but who you are, like in one of those situations in life where you're just like, I am rocking it, you try and conjure that best person of you. So don't try and write your final copy when you're feeling exhausted or burnt out or uninspired, because it just won't flow. Try and do it when you're in a place where you're feeling really good. So write like you talk, throw in things that, point to who you are. Like, what's a TV show you love? Is it Game of Thrones? Could you mention that somewhere in your branding? What do you like doing? Are you a parent? Like, what's the range of who you are, and how will it connect with the people that you want to serve? So I work with a lot of women who are also mothers, or who are thinking of doing that. I work with a lot of women who can really connect and empathize with the fact that I wanted to create a business that gives me more freedom, because they want the same thing too. And I also work with women who want to change people's lives for the better. These aren't just women who only want to make money. We all want to make the world a better place. So how can you show that a little bit in your copy? That might be on your about page somewhere. It might be by dropping references to your kids, or other stuff you care about in your copy. Just do something that really shows who you are and why they would, creates a sense of connection that's going to make them want to work with you. And then third, so I've done, okay, so then what do you, and this kind of ties back to what I was just talking about, but what do you really care about, and how does that tie into the question of why now? Like, why the audience, you need to get them from a point of, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, how that would be really cool, to a point of, yes, this needs to change in my life now. So you need to think about what's holding your audience back? What objections do they have to buying from you? Is it, oh, I don't have enough time? Is it, well, maybe copywriting is not the right thing to invest in. Maybe it's a logo. But really get deep on the objections that people have, and this is really helped by talking to people and just potential clients, and really getting to understand them and asking them questions like, what is stopping them from taking action? And sometimes it's nothing to do with you as the service provider or the course creator. Sometimes it's to do with them, and in fact a lot of the time it's to do with them. Like for if you're selling a course, maybe one objection they'll have is, I've bought so many courses and I've never finished any of them. So I don't think that I should buy your course because what if I don't finish this either? You have to think about that and say, well, here's why my course is going to be different. And this has to come from a place of honesty. Like, you have to want to help your client finish the course. You have to build support in for them. And if you show up with that from a place of honesty and integrity, take their objections seriously, treat them with respect, and reframe them. Show how you are helping them handle them. That is really what's going to make a big, big difference to you. And then finally, I would say magic doesn't happen overnight, right? Sometimes I think we all like connection-based marketing as consumers. We like to build relationships with people. We don't necessarily love people who show up in our Facebook Messenger messages and say, hey, do you want to buy from me? I know we've just connected. Do you want to buy the coaching session with me? Yeah, we connected yesterday. It takes a little bit of time to build a know, like, trust factor. And you have to have faith in yourself that it will come if you keep consistently putting the messaging out there, if you keep showcasing your credibility, and you keep providing people not just with value but with food for thought, and showing them that you can help them grow. That will pay off ultimately. And you can't always look for, like, copy's not, I'm a conversion copywriter, but I'm not a miracle worker, right? And I say this to people on sales calls when they say to me, okay, well, I don't have any mailing list or anyone to sell to right now, but I'd like to sell out a group program in a month. And I say, well, that's probably not going to happen, like, no matter what I write, because people don't buy expensive $2,000 programs from people they've known for less than a month. It takes some time, and you have to recognize that just because somebody like Amy Porterfield or Marie Forleo is doing it, they have the social proof. They have the capital from years of doing this, from years of testimonials, from years of being everywhere in the online marketing world. And you do have to have patience, but show up, stay consistent, keep showcasing your expertise.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that too, because I think so often we watch a Marie Forleo or an Amy Porterfield and we're wowed by like what the materials they're able to create, like how big their business is. And then we try to like emulate what they're doing. And sometimes some of it will work for us, right? And sometimes like it takes a while like to build up that type of following and that type of just group of people that are watching what they're doing. And it's not something that you can just like do exactly what they do and all of a sudden you're going to be rich and famous and like lounging on the beaches of Hawaii. But like you have to do the work too. Like you have to keep showing up. You have to be consistent. Like Marie Forleo is consistent, and she's been consistent for, I can't remember how many years, like 17 years almost.
Yeah.
Of doing what she's doing. It's not like this big overnight success. And it's more about like finding a pace that works for you and showing up consistently and putting yourself out there and trying scary things that maybe you've never done before. But continue to keep showing up. And the more that you're going to start, because you do that, you're able to start attracting your people that are going to resonate with you.
Yes.
And you're going to also repel the ones that are not your ideal client and not the ones that you want to work with.
Yes, and there are two things I would jump on and say to that. One thing is I've taken the courses by Amy Porterfield, and they've been great for me because she does a lot of trainings about conversion copywriting, so they've been really good for me. But her methods do not work for everybody, and I've taken some of her things about course creation. And I think she's a very particular personality type. She recommends certain things that are very good for people who like to plan and are kind of fact finders on the, I don't know if you've done the Colby personality test, but more that kind of people. And I realize I'm a much more spontaneous person than that, and I always have been. And throughout years of teaching at NYU, I was the kind of person who would prep my lesson plan the night before, and I've always thought of myself as an organized person, but I'm actually not. And I think I've just been in a mold of organized person for a long time because I had to be fairly organized to teach, but I was always thrived well on up against the deadline. And not everything that everyone suggests will work for you, but that's an opportunity, and that's why you shouldn't compare yourself against Amy or Marie or whatever. You can when you're smaller, you can offer people the more bespoke, tailored services that they need sometimes, and the personalized attention that they'll never get from a big course like those big industry names provide. So don't doubt yourself in that respect. And then two, one thing I would say is that all those providers do really well and that you should learn from is they use testimonials. And even if you don't have the media features or the great big logos to put on your site of great places you've been featured, you can get really good testimonials. And those are so great for showcasing, all the things I was talking about before, the positive transformation you can get for people, why they liked working with you rather than someone else. Get them to say why they liked working with you. Ask them questions when you ask for a testimonial. Say, what changed for you since our work together? Why was it good for you to work with me? Ask them, prompt them to say those things. And, say, was there anything that you felt doubtful about or hesitant about when we started working together that changed for you? And that can be a good way to learn about what people's objections and hesitations were before they began working with you, and help you to start understanding your customer even better and addressing those things more in your copywriting.
Yeah, no, I love that, because I think testimonials are so underused by a lot of people. Even myself, sometimes I'm like, I have all these testimonials, I need to start sharing them. Like, they don't do any good if they're just, in a testimonial folder on your laptop. Like, you have to actually post them every once in a while and do case studies and talk about the successes you've had. And that's how people will start to build that trust with you too, and want and feel comfortable paying you for the service you provide, because they know other people have gone before them.
Exactly.
And we have to have our first client, right? We have to have those first ones. And those are like the ones that we are able to share their method or share the testimonials, share their learnings from, that help us grow our practices and our businesses.
Yeah. And one tip I would give is try to keep the finished testimonial on your website fairly short. If you have it longer, have a headline at the top saying that, just one headline that's a few words long, that speaks to the result they got. So if people are skimming, which they usually are, they'll get the point of that testimonial. So it could be, $5,000 in sales for Darlene after she worked with Suzy, that kind of thing, Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that sticks out, grabs people's attention. And so you don't feel like you have to have these great big long testimonials. You can pull out the key bits of them and put them on your website, because that is in reality what people will be paying attention to.
Yeah, I so agree with that, because I'm not, if the sales page is too long, I'm the type of person that I just glance over it and I read like those nuggets. So you want to, capitalize them, have them in bold, make them so it stands out so that people are like, oh, that's an awesome result. Oh, that's an awesome result. And then when they leave that website, they're like, you know what, I want to go back. I think I'm going to sign up because I keep thinking about those amazing results that I saw. So
and one thing I've just redone my website, you know, everything's a work in progress, right? And one thing I've learned is don't hide your testimonials away on a testimonials page. I mean, that those can be good to have, but scatter them throughout the rest of your website, because you want people to see them on your homepage. You want people to see them on your services page. And it's all too easy if it's just testimonials on one long page, for people to miss them. Yeah,
definitely share them out. As we start to kind of wrap things up, what if you were to give one big tip before I ask you our rapid fire questions, what would be like the one thing that you would love for people to kind of take from this conversation and implement right away in their businesses?
You know, I'm going to build on what we were just saying, and I'm going to say testimonials because they're so important. And I think people, I know that people think I can create miracles with my words, and I can do a lot with my words as a writer and as a messaging strategist, but you need to show what you can provide as well to people. And it's, even if you can't hire a copywriter, that's fine, but use testimonials to show what you can do for people. And if you're feeling self-conscious and like, oh, I don't want to make big promises, you know, in my copy, testimonials are a great way of showing, well, this was a result she created for me. And just make sure you get really specific ones. You can pre-write them for people and send them to people and say, hey, I wrote this testimonial to save you some time about our work together. Would you mind taking a look at it, making any edits you want to, and just letting me know if you'd be okay with me using that? And that can be a great way to get a testimonial from someone who's been like hesitating, or you know, they're super busy, and just write it for them. And then
I think a lot of times my clients will say to me too, like, I don't want to inconvenience them by asking them to do this for me, but you're giving them a chance also to really look at, well, what results did I get from working with this person? And it gives them a chance, like they start thinking of like, wow, I actually accomplished X, Y, Z. And they are able to position themselves too. Like, wow, I did so many amazing things while I was working with this person. I want to shout it from the rooftop. Like, I'm going to not just tell you, but I might go tell a couple of friends too. Like, hey, while I was working with Suzy, these are the things that I was able to experience. And it's like, you're at that point, you're like a raving fan. You're telling other people. So you're training your customers to share great things about you, but also just to start thinking about ways that they can refer business back to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't hold off from asking them just because you're worried that you know, they haven't got a big enough result, because that's usually what you're thinking, not what they're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And we're our own worst critics, right? Like, we don't need to put that energy out into the world.
Exactly.
All right. Well, as we start to wrap up, I have a couple fun questions that I'm asking everybody as part of the summit this year. So I'm super curious, what is your morning routine? And if you have one, what do you do?
My morning routine is all over the place right now because of my 6-month-old baby, and she's starting daycare soon. So that is going to be all over the place again. But what I'm trying to do is take at least 10 minutes to meditate in the mornings, even no matter what. And then that's pretty much about it, apart from feeding the baby and like trying to throw on some clothes and get ready for the day, take a shower. I will say that working from home, it's been super, super important to have a dedicated, you know, beautiful, pleasant workspace for myself. And it's very important for me to get dressed in nice clothes and put on some makeup and wash my hair and things like that, so that I don't just feel like I'm moving from nursing a baby to just like in front of my laptop doing whatever. It's important for me to kind of show up as a professional, even if I'm not going to an office.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. I make a bigger impact each day when I actually am prepared and I've actually gotten dressed and showered. And it doesn't mean you have to be in like your fancy professional clothes. Like sometimes that's just, you know, going upstairs and getting ready for the day and then coming, like walking into your office with like a fresh mindset. Because it's that transition, right? From coming from laundry and the kitchen and like all the things, and like shifting your mindset into walking in the door and being that business owner at that point. So I love that you share that. And definitely it's every day will be a new routine as you get more, like you get a 6-month-old is a lot of work. So yeah, as they grow older, like things will change and eventually you'll have a little bit more time, but it's different at every stage of the game.
Yeah.
All right. So my next question is, which book has made the biggest impact on your personal growth?
Definitely it was Get Rich Lucky Bitch by Denise Duffield Thomas. I talk about that book a lot because it really, in the early stages of my business, it was like everything she said just resonated so much with me. And I caught myself in so many of those thought traps that she highlights that women entrepreneurs fall into. And it really, really helped knowing that, helping me get out of the negative self-talk and not give me an outside perspective so that I didn't believe in it. To be like, oh, this is actually what a lot of women end up thinking. This isn't reality. I'm just projecting something, that it doesn't have to be the case. Like I remember when I sold a very, on my first high-end package, I was like, oh my God, no one's ever going to buy from me again. and I don't know where that came from, but I read it in the book and she was like, so many entrepreneurs, they make a big sale and they're like, and then they start thinking, well, that's it. That's the last one. I'm gonna screw this up and no one's gonna buy from me. And so reading that was so powerful for me.
Yeah. That's I'm glad you mentioned that book because it's one of my favorite as well, because money mindset is something that I feel like every time I up level and I grow as a business owner, like I need to read it again to like get to that next growth, because your mind is a vicious thing sometimes, right? Like it tells us so many stories that are not true, but we have to work through them and continuously always be working, I feel like, on that next level mindset. So that's an amazing book for that.
Absolutely.
All right. So if you were to go back in time and tell your beginning self, like when you first started your business, one thing, what would you tell her?
I think probably it's okay to try things out. And because there were points in, I would say, the first year of my business, well, two things. It's okay to try things out and it will be okay. Because the first year of my business, I tried a lot of different things out and experimented, and I did some graphic design for somebody at some point. I tried working with a lot of different clients, and there's a tendency to think, oh, that was wasted time, but actually you're figuring out what you want to do, and nothing's we grow from our mistakes, and even if we make a mistake, it's only a mistake if we don't learn from it, right? So I try to think about that way. And also I was very stressed out in probably the first couple of months because I didn't know what I was doing and it hadn't been so open to me before. I'd been on this very set career path and suddenly my options were like unlimited, but it felt like I could fall off a cliff if I wasn't careful. But I needed to have more faith in myself that if you put your mind to anything, you can create it, right? Like it's only a question of how long you're going to keep trying and how determined you are.
Yeah, because you just have to keep showing up and keep doing it, because until you are continuous with it and you actually have like proof and results to like go back and look at, like that's where the true business growth is at, when you're like, wow, I was actually doing this and this is what's getting me clients, but I've been doing this and this isn't actually working for me. So like really understanding who you are and how you run your business your way.
Yeah, right. It's only a failure when you give up on everything, right? Like
Exactly. Don't do that. Don't give up on everything. All right. And to like tie everything together for the theme of the summit, I'd love to know what the words attract and stand out mean to you.
I think harnessing the power of who you are to share the message that you're meant to say, right? And think about that, like, what is it I'm really meant to say here? And what am I meant to share with the world? It's not just about, at the end of the day, it's about feeds into each other. It's about making people buy, but it's about more than that. You have something that you need to start telling people about and sharing with the world. And what is it? And go start sharing that thing. And the more you show up, the more you keep sharing it, the more you're going to attract and stand out, because that's what you're meant. Those are the words that you're meant to be putting out there.
Yes. Oh, I so love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. This has been so much fun, and I would love to just continue talking, but I know that you have a free gift for everybody. So I'd love for you to share what that is.
Yes, it is a quiz, and it's called What's Your Money-Making Messaging Type? And it helps give you clarity on your messaging superpowers, and it gives you a personalized game plan for leveraging them to make more money and impact.
Yes, I love that. I cannot wait to see it. That's amazing. And where do you like to spend most of your time on social media? Because I know people want to go follow you and kind of see what you're up to. Where should we send them?
Sure. So I'm on both Instagram and Facebook. I would say I'm on Facebook more. So feel free to connect with me and follow me there. And the links will be down below.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Suzy, for sharing so much of your amazing brain with how to use our words to convert our prospects into clients. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and being with us today.
Thank you.